Hey everybody, it's Matt Robinson. Welcome to the latest digital edition of the Writer's Block. Very happy to have my friend and colleague, Jon Papernick, who's born and raised in Toronto and now a neighbor in the Boston area where he teaches at Emerson College. The author of the acclaimed collection, The Ascent of Eli Israel, and the well-reviewed novels, The Book of Stone and I Am My Beloved's. He's also written short fiction that has made waves as well. His story, Biafran Man, was adapted into a radio play by the No Sleep podcast, and In Flagrante Delicto was adapted into the short film The Man with the Third Eye, a 2025 nominee for the Mass Independent Film Festival. Currently, Jon is working on other projects, which we will discuss, and we're happy to have him on the show. Welcome, Jon.
Hey, great to be here.
You know, the skateboards behind your head look a little like devil horns if you lean back to
I'm well aware of that. Those are Shepherd Ferry triptych.
Very nice.
But
okay, we've clarified that.
I don't want to move, so yeah, just know that I don't have horns.
Well, you know, it has been said of our people, but we'll move on. So, what turned you on to writing in the first place, and who were some of your literary heroes early on?
Well, I think I've always wanted to be a writer as long as I can remember. I do know for sure that when I was 6 in second grade, my second grade teacher read us The Hobbit. She'd organized the whole class on the carpet, the vomit smelling carpet, and after that I was kind of hooked on Tolkien. I read Lord of the Rings when I was in 4th grade, and I remember very clearly now, because I'm studying another language now, like the idea of like reading when you don't know what every word means. Like I really have that sensation of like a lot of words I didn't know, but I was learning as I went. So reading that trilogy kind of did a lot to kind of build my vocabulary and kind of push me through the difficulty of knowing words versus not knowing words, because there was a lot of different, I got through them, and I still remember those books all these years later, actually.
Is that something that you try to bring to your students in your role as teacher?
What, reading on the carpet?
Well, maybe, but just like encouraging them to see beyond just the story and the elements of the book, and hopefully maybe inspire. Have you inspired any of your students to write?
Yeah, I mean, I've been teaching creative writing for 25 years. A lot of them have gone on to become writers. Some of them much more successful than me, which I'm pleased with. No, I mean, it's good. It's a great thing. I mean, as a teacher, which is a different hat altogether, you want your students to be successes. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that.
It's interesting you say different hat, because I find that my teaching and my writing kind of feed each other. What do you see as the relationship between your two hats?
Well, I'll tell you what, they do feed each other, but there's times in life I feel like when I'm feeling down on myself, I'm like, I'm only good at one thing. And they're like, well, you can write and you can teach. Those are two things. And I'm like, but I see them as one thing, but they're not one thing. They're really two different skills. There are very good writers who can't teach, and there are very good teachers who can't write. So they are two skills, and I'm not seeing it separately, because to me they do feel kind of entwined.
Okay,
but they are two different skills, no doubt about it.
Okay, fair enough. Have your students ever given you ideas for your writings?
No, not really. I wouldn't say so. No.
Do you know if any colleagues use your writing for classes?
It has been in the past. My first book, The Ascent of Eli Israel, I know was taught in about a dozen colleges and universities, but that was almost 25 years ago. And, I haven't heard of anything in a long time, but I do know that, I Googled myself once, and I found there was this woman in Germany who'd written about me in her doctoral thesis. It was me and like Philip Roth and some others. It was like American Jewish writers and their takes in Israel. And I wrote to her way back then, and we've been, distant pen pal friends, and she's an artist and sent me some of her paintings.
Wow, that's quite company to be in.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But I don't think anyone's teaching my stuff these days. It's just not getting out there. The first book was reviewed pretty broadly in the New York Times and elsewhere, and the last few books, just the way that the literary world is going, I mean, very little attention, and it's a different world.
What keeps you at it?
Well, I write because I have to. I know Kafka said a non-writing writer is a monster courting insanity, and I think that applies perfectly.
Yeah. How do you choose your subject matter?
I don't think I choose it. It just sort of appears
Hmm.
in the back of my mind and moves itself to the front of my mind. It's like some itch I have to scratch, I think. I don't really go out looking for things necessarily. It's like something rises to the surface in my brain, enough irritation that I've got to deal with it and
Hmm.
work it out through my prose.
What about stylistically? Have you noticed any shifts in or also in your process? Like, how are you one of those 1,000 words a day people, or just when it comes to you? And then have you noticed any major stylistic shifts in the course of your writing career?
I'm definitely not 1,000 words a day person. I kind of write, again, they kind of shamed us coming up as writers. If you don't write every day, you're not a writer. Well, you're a writer if you write. So there are days when I don't write. There are months when I don't write. And then there are days when I write a lot. And it goes on, if you do 1,000 words a day for a week, you've got 7,000 words. That's practically 10% of a novel. So I write when I write. And, some days when I've been working on this book, there was one day I wrote 2,400 words. Recently, I'm going through the revising in a 3-day period. I cut out 8,000 words, and cutting those 8,000 words made the book so much better. It was, when you get to that stage when you're kind of really finding the shape of the book. And I'd say like those 3 days were some of the most successful days of writing, even though I was reducing what I had.
Yeah. Are you? I don't want to say better, but more of a writer or more of an editor?
On both, I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
I think you could be a writer without being an editor. You have to know, but it's a different. I think you need to turn off your critical mind when you're writing a little bit more. I don't do it that well. I go over my work again and again and again. But I know, like Stephen King, he'll sit down for 4 hours every day and write, and he won't go back and look at those pages again until he's gotten to the end. I can't do that. I need to go back every day. So at the end of the day, I'll read over the pages again. I'll make some changes. The next day, I'll add more stuff. Then I'll go over all the pages again, and so on. So by the time I get to the end of a novel, I'll have gone over the first chapter 100 times easily
Mm.
and made little changes here and there, because you need to like really calibrate and make sure that the foundation that you build that novel with is right. So you're always kind of changing words and things that kind of will affect the way the rest of the book follows.
Mm.
So yeah, the first chapter gets the most work, and the last chapter usually gets the least work, and it usually needs the least amount because you are in a zone. You know what you're doing already at that point.
How did the film version come up, and the other permutations of your writings? How did those projects come to be?
Well, I made a number of years ago. I made a little kind of self-published little anthology of some of my stories on the Harvard bookstore. They had a book printing machine, and I had a student who knew how to do layout and did a really cool cover. And it was just a little tiny book that fit in your pocket. And I put some provocative art in there that kind of went with the books. And I'd given it to a friend of mine who was a former student. She was a family friend, and someone that she was dating found the book and fell in love with some of the stories in there. And one of them he wanted to turn into a feature. He's a young filmmaker, but he never did. He ended up doing a different story as kind of a proof of concept, which was the story that turned into the film. But he never did end up doing the feature. But who knows? Maybe one day. He was apparently obsessed with the story and thought about it all the time. So it was kind of exciting to be able to take the words I wrote and live in somebody else's head like that.
What about the Biafran Man, the audio version?
That I just sent out to the No Sleep podcast. They have like 1 million viewers, listeners a month, and I was like, all right, let's see what happens. And I was surprised when they accepted it because you never feel entitled that you're going to be accepted because it's mostly rejection. So it was exciting, and they did a really good job with it. Only problem was they put it behind a paywall, so only the ones who are paying listeners could listen to it. So, but I have it here, and I kind of put it on the other day because I wanted to check it out before this interview. And yeah, it's really well done. They've got a cast of thousands. They have like 12 people voicing this thing. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
They have the guy making with the coconuts, making the sound of horses and the sound effects.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I mean, it was.
No, they do good stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to have them do something else of mine. I sent them something else that was turned down. I think they may have something of mine now, like waiting in their inbox. I don't know if they'll take it, but I'll keep sending it to them because I grew up listening to a lot of 1930s kind of radio. It was being on reruns on like the rock and roll station on Sunday nights, right. Inner Sanctum and Hall of Fantasy. I used to listen to that stuff. So getting my stuff on No Sleep podcast was really exciting to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great tribute to your work. Now you mentioned fantasy again, which seems to bring us back to the beginning. Is that still the realm that you read a lot in, or what else is,
No,
what are your major genres?
I don't read a ton of fantasy, and I don't write in it really either. But it was what stirred that spark in me. When I was a kid, I just wanted to read Tolkien or things like that. If Game of Thrones had been out then I would have loved it. I saw the series and I loved that. One of these days I'll get around to reading the book, but I'm like, well, I've seen the series. I don't need to read it, but apparently I read part of the first book, maybe the first 300 or 400 pages. So
Sounds like you've been teaching college students too long that you wanted to see the movie, not the book.
well, I was a late adopter of Game of Thrones. I came in around season 4.
Okay.
I don't know, and I was like, I don't know, what is this? And I watched it, and I was in love with it. It was incredible.
I remember when I was teaching 5th grade when Harry Potter came out, and I figured I had to read it because all my students were going crazy for it. And I picked up and I read the first chapter. I was like, he lives under the stairs. Oh my God. And I put it down.
Yeah, I was teaching 4th grade when that came out, and I read the first book and I didn't like it. And neither of my kids read it, or maybe they read the first book. They didn't like it. So my kids are grown up now. They did not read Harry Potter, or they didn't care for it.
I actually went back to it with my kids and ended up liking it, but it was just so funny that I just couldn't get past the he lives under the stairs and all that stuff. But anyway, oh well.
My oldest son read my novel, The Book of Stone, when he was 10, and it's not a kid's book. He read it again recently. He's like, wow, it's one of his favorite books. He's 20 and he reads a lot, so it's pretty cool that he took that interest in reading my stuff, because I know certain people they can't get their family. Well, I couldn't get my family to read my books, so the fact that my son is reading it, my other son not yet, but he's a big reader.
Yeah, I remember when my then 7-year-old came up to my office way too late at night and had read the book I wrote in honor of my dad on the Ivy League. And she goes, "Dad, it's good." And I made little stickers that said, "It's good, Shira Robinson, age 7," and put like it was a Kirkus Review sticker on the cover.
Yeah, of course. What's better than that?
Who is your main demographic, would you say?
My main demographic, smart readers. My stuff generally has kind of psychologically complex characters, even morally complex. A lot of my stories are Jewish themed. So in this day and age, a lot of Jewish writers are being kind of pushed off to the side. So there may not be a lot of interest outside the Jewish community these days. But you could become a bestseller if only Jews read your book. There's a lot of readers who are Jewish. But what is happening now is a bit alarming, that not just people writing about Israel, and Israeli writers, but Jewish writers in general are being silenced and pushed off to the side. I know, from some study I saw this week, I think Jewish writers with the big 5 publishers are down 82% in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's really tough. We're kind of being pushed out, and I find it very alarming.
What is your latest project?
My latest project is a novel called The Oppressor Professor. I just finished it. And it deals with a Jewish professor working on campus during the time of the encampments. And it's a pretty intense book. I think it's powerful. It's a lean book. It's only about 70,000 words. So it moves pretty swiftly. I'm very pleased with it. And my publisher likes it. I'm just kind of waiting for a contract, but he's worked with me on it and has liked it all the way.
Good. And so what is your next itch to scratch, as it were?
Well, I've got 3 short stories I wrote that are all kind of supernatural kind of stories set in Israel in the post October 7th. And I'd like to turn those into like little comic books or graphic novels. So I've been speaking to a couple people about it. And this fall, if my novel really is done, and I really do have that time open to me, then I do want to kind of figure out how to adapt these 3 stories.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're never short for ideas.
Yeah, and I really have a different audience if I can turn these into like comics. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, well, it's a great way to cross-pollinate your audiences. So these days you need to be creative. I just was just doing my book presentation. I say, got to be, whether it's marketing or writing, you got to think outside the usual box, because the system is different.
Absolutely.
So, but your stuff is really powerful and profound. And I'm glad we could put this together. Where can people find your books?
Well, my stuff's on Amazon right now. My novel, The Book of Stone, just went out of print. So if anyone wants a copy of The Book of Stone, which is kind of a dark literary thriller set in pre-9/11 New York, dealing with kind of a terrorist plot there, you can email me through my website. I can get you a copy. But the rest is available on Amazon. You can say what you want about Amazon, but the fact is, for those of us who are not, on bookshelves, the books are always available there.
Right. Fair enough. All right. Well, I'm glad we had this time. Hopefully you get some more audience out of this, and please keep in touch. And everyone out there, we hope to see you next time on the Writer's Block.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.